In the far reaches of our solar system, the enigmatic planet Saturn, once a serene and distant jewel, now stands veiled in mystery and intrigue. For decades it was known as a gas giant, beautiful, mysterious, yet passively observable, with its swirling clouds and iconic ring system composed of frozen dust. But what if this tranquil image belied a hidden reality? What if beneath its ethereal beauty, Saturn harbored secrets we were never meant to uncover? In 2017, the Cassini spacecraft, after 20 years of transmitting invaluable data, was deliberately plunged into Saturn's atmosphere, officially to avoid contamination of its moons. However, the circumstances surrounding its destruction have led many to question whether it had witnessed events far beyond the scope of its mission. Secret images, unexplained signals, and anomalies that didn't fit any planetary model have fueled speculation that Cassini may have seen too much. The grand finale, Cassini's final mission, was a series of 22 death-defying dives between Saturn and its rings, uncharted territory that no spacecraft had ever explored. During these dives, Cassini's sensors detected strange oscillations in the magnetic field, suggesting something massive and unseen lurking beneath the atmosphere. Instruments designed to measure gas densities picked up inexplicable spikes, brief bursts of denser material where there should have been nothing but hydrogen and helium. In some orbits, the spacecraft's trajectory subtly shifted, as if it were being tugged by forces no one predicted. These anomalies were quietly buried in technical papers, but some mission scientists began asking dangerous questions. Was Cassini sensing gravitational disturbances caused by something more than atmospheric currents? Could Saturn's interior be hiding a structure? Something massive, possibly artificial, disrupting the probe's path. One of Cassini's most iconic discoveries was also one of its most unexplainable: the persistent hexagonal storm at Saturn's North Pole. First glimpsed by Voyager and later studied in detail by Cassini, this storm has baffled scientists for decades. But what Cassini's high-resolution infrared and visible light imaging revealed during its later orbits is even stranger. The storm didn't just persist, it evolved. The hexagon's edges began to pulse with thermal anomalies, heat patterns that seemed to follow a rhythm, not weather, not chaos, a pattern. Some even began calling it the circuit. And while the mainstream explanation suggested fluid dynamics and jet streams, Cassini's microwave sensors detected layers of energy far beneath the cloud tops that couldn't be explained by ordinary atmospheric behavior. At one point, a sudden burst of ethylene gas, 100 times the predicted amount, erupted from the region. No one could say why. The symmetry, the temperature pulses, the chemical spikes, they didn't add up. Was the hexagon just a freak of physics, or was it a signature of something operating just beneath the clouds? Among Saturn's many moons, Enceladus stood out not just for its beauty, but for something more haunting. A tiny icy world with geysers erupting from its south pole, spraying water vapor and organic material into space. Cassini flew through these plumes, analyzed their composition, and what it found shook the scientific world: hydrogen, methane, and complex organics, signs of a deeply salty ocean beneath the ice. But one flyby, never publicly acknowledged beyond a brief data drop, picked up something else: a fluctuation in the magnetic field as the probe crossed the geyser. Not a natural variation. A pulse, rhythmic, repeating, almost like a code. Some mission analysts speculated it could be a form of electromagnetic resonance, possibly caused by mineral interactions, but others were less convinced. One researcher described it as a handshake, a non-random transmission triggered only when Cassini was within direct range of the plumes. Cassini responded automatically by switching sensor modes, but what it recorded during those few seconds remains classified. Enceladus is alive with geological activity. Could it be alive in other ways? In 2013, Cassini took one of its most iconic images, Earth, seen from the shadows of Saturn. The day the Earth smiled, they called it. But that wasn't the only photo taken that day. In the same batch of data, Cassini captured a series of long exposure frames, pointed not at Earth but at the ring system. Hidden deep in those rings, researchers noticed faint points of light, objects moving against the static backdrop. Some were dismissed as rogue rocks, but others moved with purpose. One object, traced across 3 frames, shifted direction in ways that defied orbital mechanics. It accelerated, it pivoted, it disappeared behind a shadow and reappeared at a different point. And then there was the ring anomaly, a faint bulge in the outer B ring, as if something massive had passed through it and disrupted its structure. NASA never issued a statement. The raw images remain archived but without annotation. Independent researchers who analysed them believe Cassini may have captured the first visual evidence of non-natural movement within Saturn's rings. Was it a coincidence? A camera glitch? Or had Cassini, after nearly 300 orbits, finally seen something it wasn't supposed to? Titan, Saturn's largest moon, has always stood out, not just for its size, larger than Mercury, but for its haunting familiarity. Cassini revealed a world cloaked in a dense orange haze, its surface hidden from Earth's telescopes for centuries. But with radar and infrared imaging, the probe peeled back the layers and saw something astonishing: rivers, lakes and seas. Not of water, but of liquid methane and shorelines carved by erosion, valleys shaped by precipitation. It was a hydrological cycle, like Earth's but alien. Yet the most disturbing discovery wasn't what Titan had, but what it lacked. While Cassini's instruments detected the presence of complex organics in the atmosphere, they couldn't find one thing: acetylene, and that absence made no sense. Acetylene should have been abundant in Titan's atmosphere, produced by sunlight interacting with methane. So where was it going? One speculative paper suggested that some unknown process or entity was consuming it. Methane-based life. The term was quietly introduced, then just as quickly dismissed. But the Huygens probe, before going silent, detected temperature anomalies near Titan's equator, brief, flickering warmth in a sea of cold. Was it a natural release of gas from below the surface? Or something more? Intentional? If Titan is mirroring Earth in structure, could it also be mirroring us in something else? Cassini's cameras gave us unforgettable images, but its instruments could also listen, measuring radio emissions, plasma waves and magnetic fluctuations. One of its lesser-known tools was the RPWF, or Radio and Plasma Wave Science Instrument, and during several of its flybys, Cassini captured audio data that still defies full explanation. The most famous recording, later publicized as the sounds of Saturn, is an eerie sequence of electromagnetic pulses converted into audible sound. The frequencies rise and fall in a way that almost resembles breathing. At first, scientists assumed it was just interaction between Saturn's magnetic field and the solar wind. But during the grand finale dives, Cassini recorded a variation of these emissions. And this time, the pulses were patterned, not random noise, a sequence. Some parts repeated, others fluctuated in ways that echoed known harmonic structures. It was as if Saturn was speaking in frequency. These recordings were quietly studied and archived, but never fully explained to the public. Some engineers claimed the patterns matched no known magnetic resonance. Others simply stopped commenting. Whatever those frequencies were, they weren't natural echoes of particle interactions. They were ordered, and they came from deep within Saturn itself. For centuries, Saturn's rings have been a symbol of beauty and mystery, but Cassini's close-range imaging shattered the illusion of simplicity. The spacecraft discovered vertical structures, ice columns rising kilometers above the rings, cast by invisible gravitational anomalies. In some zones, the rings behaved like fluid, with wave-like distortions radiating outward from no identifiable source. And then came the most troubling data of all. The rings are young. Based on Cassini's dust measurements and ring mass estimates, scientists concluded that Saturn's rings are no older than 100 million years. That's shockingly recent, cosmically speaking. Too recent. If the rings weren't formed during Saturn's birth, what created them? A moon torn apart, a cataclysm, or something else entirely? Some researchers proposed that the rings are constantly being renewed by an external force, something maintaining their delicate structure and perfect balance. Others looked to the strange presence of moonlets embedded in the rings, like sentinels frozen in orbit, and still others pointed to the sharp edges of certain rings. Edges so clean they seem sculpted, not shaped by gravity. If Saturn's rings are artificial in part, then who or what put them there? As Cassini approached its final orbit in September 2017, a veil of silence descended over the mission team. Public updates grew vague, telemetry charts were delayed, and the final moments when Cassini plunged into Saturn's atmosphere were met with controlled optimism, but little transparency. Officially, the signal ended 30 seconds later than expected, but leaked documents suggest there may have been a final burst of data, compressed, unfiltered, and scrambled, sent milliseconds before the spacecraft disintegrated. What did Cassini transmit in its final breath? Some insiders claim it was nothing more than pressure readings. Others hint at a set of images that were never released. Cassini's final approach path took it over a region near the equator where previous dives had recorded anomalous gravity readings. Could Cassini have seen something on the surface, or in the clouds, or in the infrared? Something we were never meant to see? Its destruction was swift and intentional, an incineration disguised as a precaution. But in a mission full of firsts and secrets, perhaps its final act wasn't just to collect data, but to bury it. Cassini was never just a spacecraft. It was a witness. A silent observer launched from Earth to study a gas giant, and ended up unlocking some of the most unsettling truths in the history of space exploration. From storms shaped with unnatural precision to electromagnetic signals patterned like music. From invisible forces sculpting icy rings to moons that may harbour not just life, but intention. It stared into the hexagon and saw a machine. It dove through Saturn's shadows and glimpsed something moving, and in its final descent, just seconds before obliteration, it may have sent back a final image, one we'll never see. They say Cassini died to protect the moons of Saturn from contamination. But what if the real contamination was the truth? What if we sent Cassini not just to explore Saturn, but to verify suspicions held in silence for decades? And when it confirmed what we feared most, that Saturn is not just a planet, but perhaps a construct, a signal hub, a veil over something deeper. We erased the evidence the only way we knew how: fire. So now we're left with the fragments, data buried in archives, images never released, frequencies still unexplained. But there's one thing no protocol can erase: curiosity. If this story shook what you thought you knew about our solar system, subscribe now for more cosmic secrets hidden in plain sight. Comment below. Do you think Saturn is just a ringed planet, or something much older, more complex and deliberately concealed? The Cassini mission, from its enigmatic discoveries to its mysterious end, has left us with more questions than answers. As we continue to explore the cosmos, it serves as a reminder that the universe is vast, complex, and full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The secrets of Saturn may never be fully revealed, but the search for truth will continue. And who knows, perhaps one day we will find answers that will change our understanding of our place in the universe. Until then, we remain curious, exploring, and questioning. And that is the essence of science and the human spirit. In this expanded text, we delve deeper into the mysteries uncovered by Cassini, exploring the strange phenomena observed on Saturn and its moons. From the hexagonal storm at Saturn's North Pole to the rhythmic fluctuations in Enceladus's magnetic field, from the young age of Saturn's rings to the ordered radio emissions coming from deep within Saturn itself, Cassini's discoveries have left scientists baffled and intrigued. The hexagonal storm at Saturn's North Pole, first observed by Voyager in the 1980s, has puzzled scientists for decades. Cassini's high-resolution images revealed that the storm doesn't just persist, but evolves, with edges that pulse with thermal anomalies, heat patterns that seem to follow a rhythm. Some have speculated that the storm is a machine, or at least a structure intentionally designed to maintain a hexagonal shape. The storm's persistence and evolution suggest that it may be a highly advanced and sophisticated technological artifact. Enceladus, one of Saturn's many moons, has also made headlines with its geysers that spray water vapor and organic material into space. Cassini's analysis of the composition of these geysers revealed the presence of hydrogen, methane, and complex organics, suggesting the presence of a deep, salty ocean beneath the moon's icy surface. But it was the magnetic fluctuations detected as Cassini flew through the geysers that really caught scientists' attention. The fluctuations were rhythmic and repeated, almost like a code, and some researchers have speculated that they could be a form of electromagnetic resonance, possibly caused by mineral interactions. Others have suggested that the fluctuations could be a form of communication, a non-random transmission triggered only when Cassini was within direct range of the geysers. The strange movements observed within Saturn's rings have also raised questions about their origin and composition. Cassini's close-range imaging revealed the presence of vertical structures, ice columns rising kilometers above the rings cast by invisible gravitational anomalies. In some zones, the rings behaved like fluid, with wave-like distortions radiating outward from no identifiable source. And then, there was the mysterious bulge in the outer B ring, which some researchers believe could be evidence of non-natural movement within the rings. The rings of Saturn are also relatively young, with scientists estimating their age to be no older than 100 million years. This is surprising, given that Saturn itself is over 4 billion years old. Some researchers have proposed that the rings are constantly being renewed by an external force, something maintaining their delicate structure and perfect balance. Others have speculated that the rings could be the result of a cataclysmic event, such as a moon being torn apart by Saturn's gravitational forces. One of the most intriguing discoveries made by Cassini was the presence of moonlets embedded within the rings. These moonlets, which range in size from a few meters to hundreds of meters, appear to be frozen in position, as if they are being held in place by some unknown force. Some researchers have suggested that these moonlets could be the remnants of a shattered moon, while others have speculated that they could be the remains of a failed attempt to build a satellite or other artificial structure. The sharp edges of certain rings have also raised questions about their origin. Some edges are so clean and symmetrical that they seem sculpted, not shaped by gravity. Some researchers have proposed that these edges could be the result of a deliberate carving or shaping process, possibly carried out by an intelligent entity. The strange phenomena observed by Cassini have left scientists baffled and intrigued. While some explanations have been put forward, many questions remain unanswered. Some researchers have suggested that the strange phenomena could be the result of natural processes that we don't yet understand, while others have speculated that they could be evidence of advanced technological artifacts. The Cassini mission ended in September 2017, when the spacecraft was deliberately plunged into Saturn's atmosphere to avoid contamination of its moons. However, the circumstances surrounding its destruction have led many to question whether it had witnessed events far beyond the scope of its mission. Some insiders have suggested that Cassini may have sent back a final burst of data, compressed, unfiltered and scrambled just before it disintegrated. This data, if it exists, could hold the key to unlocking some of the mysteries of Saturn and its moons. In conclusion, the Cassini mission has made some of the most fascinating and intriguing discoveries in the history of space exploration. From the hexagonal storm at Saturn's North Pole to the rhythmic magnetic fluctuations detected on Enceladus, from the sharp edges of certain rings to the strange movements observed within them, Cassini has shown us that there is still much to learn about our solar system. The mysteries uncovered by Cassini serve as a reminder that the universe is vast, complex, and full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. And while we may never know the full truth about Saturn and its moons, we will continue to explore, to question, and to seek answers. And that is the essence of science and the human spirit.